51 weeks ago, I posted a video. In it, I begged grieving Trump voters in Georgia to suck it up, set aside their doubts about election integrity in their state, and vote for Perdue and Loeffler. The Senate was on the line. I spent most of that video trying to convince people that Stacey Abrams was a ground game powerhouse and that, as she had been claiming, Georgia was now a purple state. I said that it would be razor close and that every Republican needed to get to the polls and vote. While I was doing that, Donald Trump was accusing Georgia Republicans of presiding over a fixed election, one that had stolen the state from him the month before. In other words, he was discouraging Republican voters in Georgia. Well, we all know what happened. Abrams got the vote out like I knew she would. And the very next day, as we tried to get our brains around losing the Senate, Trump was out on the ellipse, firing up a crowd of idiots who then charged into the Capitol like a scene from Planet of the Apes. Now, almost a year later, Abrams is running to unseat Governor Brian Kemp, and the former president is encouraging David Perdue, who lost in January, to take out Kemp in a primary bid. The man cannot wait to fuck things up again. Trump made this statement Monday, quote, "Wow, it looks like highly respected Senator David Perdue will be running against Rhino Brian Kemp for governor of Georgia. David was a great senator, and he truly loves his state and his country. This will be very interesting, and I can't imagine that Brian Kemp, who has hurt election integrity in Georgia so badly, can do well at the ballot box, unless the election is rigged, of course. He cost us 2 Senate seats and a presidential victory in the great state of Georgia." Close quote. What a monstrously deluded ego. Anybody with half a spoonful of comprehension knows who cost us those Georgia Senate seats. Trump cost us those seats with his incessant claims that Georgia's voting system was corrupt. That's why many Trump loyalists stayed home. Of course, many of them were already on I-95 headed for D.C. On October 13 of this year, Donald Trump issued this statement, quote, "If we don't solve the presidential election fraud of 2020, which we have thoroughly and conclusively documented, Republicans will not be voting in 2022 and 2024. It's the single most important thing for Republicans to do," close quote. The language of this statement is carefully ambiguous. Some might say that he meant voting was the most important thing. The rest of us know exactly what he meant. He meant that he, Donald Trump, will decide future elections by either calling his minions forward or standing them down. Listen, I objected very strongly when the press began to call all claims of voter fraud, quote, "the big lie," unquote. That was openly prejudicial language. It violated every journalistic standard of which I'm aware. Elections are complicated, and everybody who loses one has the right to every legitimate avenue of challenge. The press should have referred to Trump's suspicions of voter fraud or Trump's claims of voter fraud. But mainstream news presenters as a block adopted the term "the big lie." That was cynical, unethical, and just plain wrong, as were the 2 years wasted on the Russiagate fantasy. Trump never got a fair shake. We started this channel for 2 reasons: to promote conservative values and to defend President Trump. I think the man did a damn good job considering the tractor beam of hatred trained on him 24/7. Joe Biden's broken down excuse for leadership demonstrates the stark differences between an energized, optimistic American vision, such as Trump's, and the air of tired disappointment that colors the Democrats' view of this great land. The country was roaring when Trump was at the helm. I'm not trying to take that away from him, but I never signed up to support an ex-president who wants to keep running the country. The idea now is that any conservative who doesn't kowtow to Trump is a rhino and should be removed from office. That's cancel culture as surely as anything we see on the left. I defended Trump against malicious slander for 4 years, but now the malicious slander is coming from him. Brian Kemp didn't damage Georgia's election integrity. He defended it while Donald Trump damaged it. And now Trump wants revenge, plain and simple. I've come to understand that Trump's most rabid supporters have no real interest in the workings of our politics. They're not really conservatives. They're fans of Donald Trump, the celebrity. the tycoon with the hot wife and the hit TV show. They like the idea of Trump making and breaking political careers, pointing a finger and saying, "You're fired." That's the Trump they like. To them, this is all a game. When Trump entered the race in 2015, he may have been driven by sincere patriotism, but he was also running to satisfy his own need for glory. We knew that, but we needed a gladiator. The big ego was part of the package. It's the fuel he runs on, and for the most part, he did the job. But we hired this man to fight our fights, not his own. And he has so twisted the minds of his fans that they think they work for him. It's all about him now, about him indulging his rabbit hole fantasies with no concern whatsoever for the conservative movement. No concern for the stability of the governmental institutions our founders left to us. Almost nobody in the Republican hierarchy has the guts to stand up to him. Those who do are attacked immediately as rhinos by the Trump trolls, who are every bit as vicious as the anti-Trump trolls were. Of course, the right-wing media piles on because they only care about ratings and riches. The Republican Party is caught in a nightmare. One pampered billionaire who ran as an outsider now controls an enormous cult-like block of voters. What could be more terrifying than that? What could be less American than that? Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and then click the little bell to get notifications.